The smoke that hung over the plains after the first sparks of rebellion in 1857 carried more than the smell of gunpowder. It carried a message that could no longer be silenced. The uprising had shaken the British East India Company, but it had also awakened something deep within the people. Soldiers who once marched under foreign orders now questioned their loyalty. Villagers whispered stories of defiance at night, passing news from mouth to mouth like a sacred secret. In Kanpur, Nana Sahib emerged as a leader not because he declared himself one, but because the people believed in him. He spoke not only of political rights but of lost honor, broken promises, and generations humiliated by foreign rule. His words resonated with peasants who had been crushed by taxes, with princes stripped of their kingdoms, and with soldiers insulted by racial discrimination. Across northern India, unity began to form in unexpected ways. Hindus and Muslims who had long lived side by side now prayed together for victory. Old rivalries faded as the shared pain of oppression took center stage. Weapons were scarce, but determination was abundant. Rusted swords were pulled from hiding, and broken muskets were repaired with crude tools. Blacksmiths worked through the night, while women stitched banners and prepared food for fighters. Every village became a small fortress of resistance. British officers, confident in their superiority, failed to grasp the depth of this emotional awakening. They saw rebels. The people saw brothers, sons, and fathers fighting for dignity. The battles were chaotic and brutal. Rebels lacked formal training, yet they fought with a fierce resolve that surprised seasoned British troops. Each clash strengthened their belief that the empire was not invincible. Even when they lost ground, morale remained high because the struggle was no longer about immediate victory, it was about reclaiming identity. Messages traveled by runners and messengers on horseback, spreading news of victories and losses alike. The rebellion moved like a living force, changing shape as it crossed regions. When one leader fell, another rose, driven by the same fire. British authority began to crack under the pressure. Officers grew anxious, unsure whom to trust. Indian soldiers within British ranks became objects of suspicion, deepening racial divisions. The colonial response grew harsher, fueled by fear rather than strategy. Still, the rebels pressed on. In Kanpur, the fight intensified as both sides understood the symbolic importance of the city. For the rebels, it represented resistance; for the British, control. Civilians were caught in the middle, enduring hunger, disease, and violence, yet many refused to abandon the cause. Even children played their part, carrying water, delivering messages, and watching for enemy movements. Despite courage and unity, the rebels faced overwhelming challenges. British forces possessed superior weapons, disciplined formations, and access to reinforcements from across the empire. Yet even as losses mounted, surrender was unthinkable. Each fallen fighter became a story, each story a source of strength. Songs of resistance were sung quietly at night, turning grief into resolve. The rebellion transformed ordinary people into symbols of defiance, proving that freedom was worth any cost. Though the outcome remained uncertain, one truth was clear: India would never be the same again. As the rebellion spread, the British response shifted from confusion to calculated brutality. Reinforcements poured in from Britain and neighboring colonies, bringing with them heavy artillery and seasoned commanders. Railways, once symbols of progress, became tools of war, allowing rapid troop movement and tighter control. Villages suspected of aiding rebels faced collective punishment. Homes were burned, crops destroyed, and public executions carried out as warnings. The intention was clear: break the spirit of resistance through fear. But fear did not erase memory, and it did not kill hope. In Jhansi, Rani Lakshmibai stood at the heart of resistance. Widowed and denied her rightful rule under British policies, she refused to surrender her kingdom. Her presence alone challenged colonial stereotypes. She trained relentlessly, mastering swordsmanship and horseback riding while organizing defenses with sharp intelligence. Soldiers, inspired by her courage, followed her not out of obligation but devotion. She reminded them that freedom was not gifted, it was taken through sacrifice. Under her leadership, Jhansi became a beacon of defiance, its walls echoing with determination. Battles grew more intense as British forces closed in. Cannon fire shattered fortifications, and the air was thick with dust and despair. Yet even as defeat loomed, the rebels fought on. Rani Lakshmibai's legendary escape from Jhansi, carrying her child while leaping from the fort on horseback, became a symbol that traveled far beyond the battlefield. Stories of her bravery inspired resistance in regions where rebellion had already been crushed. The British may have regained cities, but they could not reclaim the narrative. Elsewhere, the rebellion faced fragmentation. Lack of centralized leadership and coordination weakened resistance. Some leaders were captured, others betrayed. Supplies dwindled, and exhaustion set in. Still, the idea of independence refused to die. British victories were hollow, achieved through force rather than legitimacy. Soldiers who survived the rebellion carried its memory like a scar, a reminder that obedience had been broken once and could be broken again. As the uprising slowly collapsed under overwhelming power, the British claimed control, but the cost was immense. Trust between ruler and ruled was shattered. The East India Company's authority was deemed a failure, leading to direct British Crown rule. Laws tightened, surveillance increased, and racial barriers hardened. Yet beneath this surface of control, a deeper,